Well, hello everyone. I'm Nick, and welcome back to Pop Sub Club. And I am here with the very first Invisible Woman herself, Rebecca Staab, to talk about everything Fantastic Four and everything about her. And Rebecca, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. It's just I need more hours in every day. It just every day goes too quick for my liking. There's always too many things and not enough time. So
Yeah.
always full speed ahead.
Oh yeah, I feel that. I keep telling everyone because I've never been the type of person to not have time for something. And with how busy I have been in my own job and like with this podcast, I have I've even had to tell you, I'm like, I am so sorry. It's been so busy and I'm not used to that. So I can understand, there's never enough time in the day, I swear.
Oh, totally.
But like I said in the intro, we're here to talk about, you and your time with Fantastic Four and acting. And, you are somebody who, well, I definitely knew you from Fantastic Four first. I didn't realize that you have kind of been around like my general movie and TV space. And like you've just kind of always been there in some way. And I always thought that was so cool. Like you're even in Lois and Clark. So in a way you kind of got a little bit of Superman from this one as well.
And Marvel.
Like that's got to be the best. But I'm curious, what got you into the world of acting and just kind of exploring this as a career and doing so much that you've already done?
I go back. I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Nebraska, and back then in the 70s and 80s and stuff, just communication, it wasn't at the speed of light like it is now. And so, ever since I was a kid, I would have loved to have been an actor, but when your options and resources are limited. But it really came about. I was modeling, and so I was in Paris for 3.5 years modeling.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I came to New York after Paris, my modeling agency had just opened a TV and film division. And so they're like, hey, do you act? And I was like, yes. I was in theater all through high school and college. And so I was like, yeah. And they go, oh, go upstairs and talk to Mike. So went upstairs and talked to Mike, who was, running the TV and film division. And we put together a resume and picked out one of my pictures, my modeling shots to use as a headshot. And it was, I don't know, a couple of days later, he sent me on my very first audition. And it was just for, it was 6 episodes. There used to be a soap opera on ABC called Loving.
Mm-hmm.
It was just for this little punk rock teenager because it was during, Cyndi Lauper, Madonna, that whole thing. Yeah. So I was so funny because at the time I had no job, and I'm like, well, I really don't want to do a soap opera. And he's like, oh, for crying out loud, just go audition. It's for practice. It's your first audition. Just go. Well, I ended up booking it. So it just got started right away that I actually booked my first audition, and then the character just took off like wildfire. So, the 6 episodes turned into 12, into 36, into 50, and I was on all summer.
Yeah.
And so then from that, while I was still there in New York, and I was still auditioning because I was not under contract, then an audition came up for Guiding Light. And that was a contract role. So I went over there and auditioned and got that one. So then I went straight from Loving into Guiding Light. And then I was on there for a couple of years. And then, after that, even when Guiding Light ended, I didn't want to just go straight onto another soap opera. So I stayed in New York for a couple of extra years and was just auditioning and doing a bunch of things. And acting just kind of kept bringing me to LA, fly out for this, we're going to bring you out for, whether it was a screen test or, I did an episode of Matlock was my, primetime TV role. And, so then I was like, well, just at the time more work was in LA, and I ended up moving out here, and I've been here ever since. So, it was a pretty, smooth start, I have to say. I was very blessed just to kind of start working right away.
Yeah.
And it really stopped, it was, I was out here in LA, like the late 80s, all of the 90s when oh my God, there was just so much television and movies. And I mean, I worked on everything that was on TV during that time period.
Hmm.
And, yeah, and I'm just really kind of still plugging away at it. I work up in Vancouver a lot now. A lot of production is shot up there. And so I work up in Vancouver a lot. And so I'm back and forth between LA and Vancouver. I think I have the best of both worlds.
I would say so. What would you say living wise, like weather comfortability wise, LA or Vancouver?
They're similar but different. I mean,
Hmm.
LA's more of a 12-month place. You have perfect weather all the way around. They're similar that, they're both by the water. They both have mountains. They both have desert. They both have wine country. I love them both. In Vancouver, I don't know if you're familiar with the geography, but I'm right on like Stanley Park and English Bay. So
Okay.
I always say that English Bay is my backyard, and it's like a beach that to live in the middle center downtown of a cosmopolitan city, but you live on the beach. I mean, it's like, what? I mean, Vancouver is just one of the absolute most gorgeous cities in the world, and I've traveled extensively.
Hmm.
But, there is a portion of the year where it just rains nonstop. So that's when it's nice to come back and forth to LA then. So it's really the best of both. It's Vancouver's, smaller and more manageable, and it's kind of part LA, part New York.
Hmm.
That's what's neat about it. Like the downtown areas, like just a smaller Manhattan, but then it has all the, the geography and kind of an outdoor adventure life like you have in LA and
Yeah.
work. And it's really the best of both. I'm very blessed.
That's cool. That's really cool. I live in Florida and we're in the middle of a heat dome right now. So just hearing that there's other weather out there sounds pretty great. I didn't even know what a heat dome was until this week, and I've lived in Florida.
Where in Florida are you?
Orlando, right in the middle.
Oh, okay. Because my husband's mom lives in New Smyrna Beach.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
flying in and out of there. He's there more often than I am, but I am familiar with. Yeah. Oh my God, summer there is just stifling.
It's been pretty bad. We have plants in our patio, and I am always like, I feel like a worried parent every time it gets really hot out. So it's been an interesting couple weeks, I must say.
Oh wow, yeah.
But so with acting, it sounds like you mentioned, you've been very blessed with your opportunities that have come. Now, something I have learned in podcasting is that you never really know when your next interview is going to be, who it could be with, and a lot of it's reaching out, a lot of it's people reaching out to you. What have you ever had that feeling with acting? Like, were you ever at a point where you could kind of almost have a routine of like, oh, I've got this, and then I'm going to have this, or were you ever moments of like, okay, I got to find something else to do?
It's totally unpredictable, and the sad thing is you don't have a lot of control.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like another job where you go, well, I'll put in overtime, or I'll work harder, or I'll, do this special project, or I'll, show my boss this and this and this. It's not like, it's so arbitrary, and it's actually, which is also opposite from a regular job. It's not like the longer you're in it or the older you get, you have seniority or it gets any easier. That is not true. If you work at a bank or something, you go, hey, I've been here for 40 years, like you have some clout. And in our industry, it's just, sometimes it counts. A lot of the times it doesn't. It's brutal. It really is. Then I mean, I have to tell you, you've got to love the work so much, because you don't spend the majority of your time working. You spend the majority of your time not working or, auditioning. So you really have to love the work to endure the, it's a constant output of energy and passion, and at the end of the day, it's like, oh, my plate is empty. Oh, I have zero to show for it. There was absolutely no result from this. So you just spin your wheels a lot and go in circles a lot. Even right now, you know, it's like I have an audition that I have to go tape tonight. I have another one I have to go tape tomorrow. But it's changed so much ever since COVID.
Yeah.
Years before, you know, you'd go in and auditions and, you know, the casting director would be in there and, you know, usually the director, sometimes the producer back in the olden days, even, you know, network or writers would be there depending on the project. But at least there was a sense, you know, that you get to go in and you can present your, you know, your take on the character. This is what I would do with the role. Oh, here's the twist. And, you know, you have an energy, you have a magnetism, you have just a connection to go, oh, we like her, you know, or, oh, do you have a cold today? You seem kind of, you know, that it's, you know, it was really the one-on-one. And then it was also collaborative, that it used to be, hey, that was great. You know, and the director would be like, hey, let's just try it another time, that instead of getting mad at this character, why don't you ridicule him? Why don't you laugh at him? Why don't you mock him? You're like, oh, okay. And like, you'll get direction and you can kind of switch gears real fast and they can see, wow, you know, you've got a skill set to draw from, or, oh, you can take direction and, you know, you can really, you know, jump off the track and get back on quickly. And we don't have that anymore because ever since COVID, they've just switched everything to self-tapes. So, you know, you can either shoot it at home or, you know, I have a guy who's an editor that's down in Burbank and he tapes all my auditions. I mean, I have to pay him, but it's turned into a totally different world because you don't see or meet anyone. You get no direction. It's just kind of, you're just acting in a void. You know, you're, you know, in a room by yourself talking to an ex to the right of camera, pretending that it's, you know, whoever, and send them the tape or, you know, the video, whatever you want to call it, file. And you don't know if anybody's even going to watch it. And if anybody watches it, who's going to watch it? Are they going to watch the whole thing? You know, they'll give us 3 scenes, 8 pages. And, you know, you've got to do your absolute best to make those 8 pages. All right, this is my miniature movie. But then when they get the file of your audition, they could literally watch 4 frames of it. Oof. And go, oh, I think she should be a brunette. Or, oh, she's too young, or she's too old. Or, you know, I want, you know, she's not enough of a character. Oh, I want somebody with a more New York edge. You know, who knows? I mean, they literally watch 4 frames and then skip on to the next one. Whereas in the day where you would be in the room, you know, you would at least get to finish a scene. They watch the whole scene. They can watch what you've created, how you can make this one scene a story, a movie in itself, that you've got to have a beginning and an end. You've got to have a climax. You have to, you know, pepper it with all the colors and emotions, you know, pack it all into this one scene so they can kind of see a range. But then they might only watch a couple of frames. And
it's wild.
99% of the time, you never even hear back. You know, you'll hear if you get shortlisted, you know, they'll kind of what they call pin you. Like they'll check with your agent. Hey, we just want to confirm her availability for these dates. And so they might have 2 choices. They might have 20, you know, but you know, if you're kind of on the short list, even though you don't know how many people are on the short list. And then from there, maybe you get it, maybe you don't. But, so it's, you know, I have to say it's not as fun. It's not as interesting. It's certainly not as creative. It is if, you know, it's advantageous if you're a perfectionist, because you can just tape your audition over and over and over and over and over again until you get every little tiny nuance. But, you know, that's kind of futile because you don't really need to. So, I think it's harder than ever now to really have it. It's completely self-sustaining. It has to be your passion, your energy, your drive, and it has to pick up on camera immediately. They have to have, you know, there has to be some kind of magnetism that comes through the screen immediately. They're like, oh, I love this person. She's perfect. You know, and that's exactly what I was looking for. So, you know, instead of being in a regular job where you accumulate seniority and respect, it's You know, it's just like every day it feels like you start over. You know, you can even
Yeah,
have a big movie come out and, you know, it's like, well, put yourself on tape for blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I just was, you know, so it's not for the faint of heart. I don't know how people could really stomach that much reaction every single solitary day, like
absolutely.
throughout the year. And you know, you have to go, well, it's not rejection, like nobody's rejecting you. But you know, it's so funny, you know, my brother, if he's interviewing for a new job, you know, he'll like, God, I had 4 interviews, you know, in the last 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, boo hoo, you know, or anymore. My brother has an interview. I'm like, okay, call me and tell me like who it is, what's the company. Like, I'm like, you have to dress the role. You have to, you know, that I'm almost prepping him.
Hmm.
Is it because he's like, you do this every day? I'm like, yep. So it's,
That's still very sweet of you to do either way though. But yeah, I mean, shoot, I'm getting the like almost the new job application anxiety just hearing that. Like I have seen, you know, auditions and stuff and the process, and it can be so challenging because like you said, you're just sometimes talking to an X in an empty room, and
yeah.
it can be very like, you know, it's easy to get in your own head with stuff like that, and it takes a lot of mental fortitude to put the voices away and put out the best that you can and just hope for the best.
Well, I mean, a lot of times, even if it's a callback, you still
Hmm.
gonna go in and meet them. It's on Zoom. You
Yeah,
know, so I'm still kind of standing there in, you know, my editor friend's, you know, little, you know, where he has his backdrop and his lighting, and you're standing there just staring at these people on a Zoom screen. And so even that doesn't have the same kind of, uh, you know,
it's like
just,
that face to face type of feeling.
yeah, everything, you know, it's funny then when you finally show up to meet people in real life, it's so exciting. It's like, oh, I did it finally see you in real life.
Seriously though, you're not wrong. I am the type of person ever since I was a kid. I don't like when like resumes or word of mouth. I mean, well, not word of mouth, but like anything that doesn't involve me being there to like set the standard or like the impression. I've
Yeah.
always been an advocate of that exact same thing. Like I'd prefer to be there. I'd prefer to show you what I'm capable of versus you reading it on a piece of paper because that's only a part of me. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's the
exactly.
bummer of Zoom, I guess.
It's, you know, that's why, you know, working is such a joy, you know,
Hmm.
because it really makes up for sometimes months and years of, you know, just the treadmill of where you're getting. And then, man, on those days that you're working, you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. This is why I do it. You
Yep.
know, but it, you know, it's sweet because any movie that I work on or show, you know, I do a lot of movie of the weeks and you're just like, gosh, I wish this was a series and we could just come here every day and work together every day. Um, you know, anymore.
Yeah,
It's really nice when you're working because people are, you know, so, you know, they have so much gratitude and,
for
you
sure.
know, it's a lot of teamwork and yeah, you have to love the work.
That collaborative effort, it makes all the difference. And, you know, speaking on collaborative efforts and great teams, I feel like that's a great segue to, you know, your time on Fantastic Four, which is one of my favorite movies that so few people talk about. I remember hearing about it when I was a kid, reading Wizard magazine, and had no
Oh,
idea the movie even existed. And it was like the top 50 comic book movies of all time, which at that time was in 2002. So I don't even know how they had 50. Um,
yeah,
but,
really.
yeah, different times, I guess. But yeah, no, I remember seeing that and I was like, what the heck? And then it wasn't until high school that the movie leaked online. Well, not leaked, but I found it online. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, this is so much fun. Like I am one of the few, like even literally talked to one of my closest friends about it today. I am the only one in my circle of friends who's like a diehard Fantastic Four fan. I love the adventure. I love the journey of the characters and the fact that they're not superheroes so much as they're a family of explorers, and always felt from top to bottom that the movie you guys were on was the one that captured that, you know, and I'm happy to say the new one captures that very well as well. But you guys, you know, you did it first. You captured the essence of what Stan Lee and Jack Kirby brought to life. And, you know, I guess my first question is, what was it like being told by so many people that you look like the Invisible Woman? Because it's kind of wild.
that was, I mean, the very first thing when I, back in 1992 when I got the audition, and it's like, what is
Hmm.
this comic book? The first thing you do is go to a comic book store and buy one of the issues because this is way before the internet.
Yeah.
And that was my very first impression. It's like, oh, this is great. I look like her, because my hair was that length already. And it's like, oh, I
Yeah.
can do this. And even when I auditioned, I just went in and, I just had on, like black skin tight leggings and like a black skin tight turtleneck, so
Hmm.
you can kind of go, well, this is what I would be looking like in the suit, and
Yeah.
had the hair and did it with, looked like Sue. And yeah, I remember Oli, the director, when, I left, he goes, wow, he goes, thank you for dressing the part. Like, you made this so easy for me. Yeah, because I wasn't familiar with the Fantastic Four at all.
Hmm.
And once I got the part, then it was immersion into it. And, everybody compares ours to not only the other Fantastic Four movies, but all the other superhero movies. And in an interview that I did earlier this month, like, it dawned on me, and I'm like, we were not making a superhero movie. We were making a movie of a comic book. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
we
yeah, yeah.
made a comic book movie. And the thing is, what I loved is, like, it did start at the beginning and we were just regular people, and then got the superpowers, and then had to reckon with, why, what are these? And I think it's nice within our movie that they have Reed's character clarifying what these superpowers are,
Hmm.
and like our greatest weaknesses became our greatest strength.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
here
true.
now we also have, kind of a message movie. It was really a buddy movie, that it wasn't a superhero movie. It was a comic book movie. It was a buddy movie.
Hmm.
And it really was a message that
Yeah.
your greatest weaknesses can be your greatest strengths, to embrace them. And so I just think that that's, people like always talk about yours just always felt good. Like, if people can watch it with an open mind, some people watch it going, oh, I heard this is really crappy. Oh, I heard this is a horrible movie. And, when I read, there's a million things online where people are like, yeah, that one really sucked. You kind of go, well, I don't think you really watched it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you didn't really watch it. And if you knew the budget, I
Hmm.
mean, we shot for what, like 22 days on $1 million? You can't even make a 60-second commercial for $1
Yeah.
million. And so the fact, we shot it over the holidays and it was just this neck break speed. We were in a condemned, movie, what do you call it? A sound stage that
Hmm.
had actually been condemned. It was, we had rats
Wow.
and right after we were finished shooting, they tore it down. It was like we were
Good
just,
Lord.
more like, we
Like,
hope
how safe was it?
squeeze out this movie over the holidays, and so when the holidays were over, they could tear it down. But the thing is, the four of us, our personalities were and still are so close to our characters. It's uncanny. Like,
Hmm.
when people really meet us, they're like, oh my God, you guys really are like the real characters. And we're like, yeah. So how that happened at the time, how that magic kind of in 92, whether it was, because of Mark Sykes, the casting director, and Oli, the director, and just kind of the stars aligning, that they found four of us that were so much like our characters anyway.
Yeah.
Everybody was really excited to make a good movie. We know there was no money, and it was like working over Christmas, like we were working over the holidays. None of us had ever done that before. And so you give up something to do that.
Hmm.
But we loved the project so much. And we, as our kind of quote unquote Bible, would go back to the comics. That if
Yeah.
something needed to be changed in the script, or if something, couldn't be shot the way it was written, it's like, let's go back to the books, because we knew that we were making ours for the fans. We knew that the fans knew more about the Fantastic Four than we did.
Hmm.
And so it's like they're gonna, they're gonna spot the flaws. They're gonna spot the fakes. Like we really have to make it true to the comic book. And I thought that was nice because like we really made it for the audience. We didn't make
Yeah.
it from studio. We certainly didn't make it to get rich. We made it like for the people who love these comic books, that you go, so that they would feel seen, that their voices were finally like up on the big screen, that their passions were like, oh wow, I can go see this 14 times if I want to. And our plan, going back to, well, what's a hard worker, like what does somebody do with their job, they want to make it better, they want a promotion. And so we figured if we can do this movie it with no time and no money, if we can make this good, we'll get to make another one.
Yeah.
That is going to be our reward. Our reward is we'll get another one and we'll get a bigger budget. And then we can do that one well. They'll give us more time. They'll give us some money. We'll earn it. We're going to earn it and we're going to deserve it. And so, whenever I've worked on projects, it's so funny. I've done 2 Roger Corman projects and they were both like this, no time, no money, but the most incredible group of people. And on both of them, there was this movie that I shot in Ireland called Stray Bullet, and then Fantastic Four, the 2 most collaborative movies like I've ever done, or TV show or project. And it's still the people that I'm the closest with. I mean, that's been, we really scored with, the fact that we all got along, on the Fantastic Four. We all just did our absolute best. We had no idea that 30 years from now, we're going to be talking about this movie. We're still going to be friends. We're going to show up and see each other with big hugs and, back each other for each other's other events. And like, we are always so happy to see each other or work together. If, one of us gets invited to a convention, like we call all the rest, where it's just like, like autograph things. Hey, why don't you come? Why don't you come? Like we try to get, at least somebody else to be there, or,
Yeah.
and you just go. So the fact that our movie never came out might have been the best blessing in disguise, because like its energy never ran out, that it just kind of kept bubbling underground. And this, every time one of the Fantastic Four movies comes out, ours gets pulled out of the back drawer and everyone's like, hey, let's take a look at this one again. And so it's always kind of funny. It's like, all right, see you in 10 years when they do the next version, And so there was something about this one. Like when I heard last year that they were doing this one, as soon as I heard that Vanessa Kirby was playing Sue Storm, I was like, oh, I love her. And I'm like,
Great.
we are getting Vanessa Kirby for this. Like, this is going to be the most extraordinary production, and then one by one, as they started to add them, it's like, holy cow, and the fact that, Grant Curtis, one of the executive producers, and Matt and even Kevin Feige, like they were so excited to have us on board. It's like, we love what you guys did. We want to recreate the best of what you guys did. We're going to borrow, what made your movie successful and try our best to recreate it. We hope we do it justice. Like Grant was
That's lovely.
so complimentary. He said, there's just so many qualities about your movie that he goes, we studied. And he goes, it's just amazing that for you guys, it was organic. He said, I still watch that movie and you guys are the Fantastic Four.
Oh,
so
yeah.
There was so much that we hoped we could recreate this time around, because there's a lot of your movie that we wanted in ours. And, that was I think they succeeded,
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing is, it's their stars playing the roles. And so every other movie, like the actor's name precedes the character. And when we were doing it, it was all about creating the character.
Yeah.
So, you know, the thing that was so cool was we were at the premiere on Monday night, the 21st, and on the 22nd, there's a group here in town over in Santa Monica. There's this kind of video CD library. I think it's called Cinephile. And
Mhm.
they had way back in their schedule show, because they like once a month, the members pick a movie to watch and they, you know, watch the movie there. And lo and behold, they didn't know the timing that when they picked our Fantastic Four movie to watch on the 22nd, it was going to be the day after the premiere. They had no idea that we were going to be in the new one. And so when they had the screening on Tuesday, I went over there because they were going to do like a presentation and a Q&A. And then they zoomed in Oli, our director, and Michael Bailey Smith, who was our thing, and Joseph Culp, who was our Doom. So those three zoomed in, and I was there physically. And then after the Q&A, they screened the movie. Now, to watch our movie with an audience on a big screen, I mean, how many people have had that opportunity? Most men. You know, people either had a really, really bad VHS, you know, tape, or even by the time there were DVDs, you know, but you always like watched it by yourself, you know, at home on your TV, on your computer, or on your phone or something, or, you know, people stream it and, you know, watch it on their, you know, lunch hour for work. But when it's really on a screen and you have an audience around you, it's just, it's a good movie. Back in, I think it was 2005, there was a comic book convention in St. Louis called, oh my God, now I can't believe I just this second blanked out on it. It was called,
I'm trying to think if I know any con name. The only one I can think of that isn't around anymore is Wizard World, but I don't know if it's that one.
No, it had, I'll think of it in a minute when I'm not in the middle of, I can't believe I just ruined my own story. But anyway, it was this really great convention in St. Louis. And that was the first time that the gentleman who ran that was like, we're going to screen the movie.
Oh, nice.
And so they had, and it was the one time that we were all there. So it was us four and Carl Cianfalio, who, you know, was the stuntman who was inside of the thing, and Oli, the director, and Joseph, Dr. Doom. So it was the seven of us. And we were all there. And then they screened it in this huge conference room with a big screen and an incredible sound system. I mean, this movie has got, I mean, it's a feature film. Like when you watch it in that environment, and especially with other people, like, you know, there's parts that, you know, it's suspenseful, and there's parts that you want to cheer, and, you know, there's parts where you get a little lump in your throat. And even the things that are cheesy about it, you know, the things that you just kind of like would normally groan if you're watching it yourself, when you're with a group of people, it's funny. So this movie had so much momentum. It's like I laughed, I cried, I cheered, you know, and even at the end, the music is just exhilarating. And we were all like, oh my God, this is a movie. And it's just such a shame that more people don't get to watch it like that. And so that was the first and only time I had seen it on a big screen and with other people. So just on the 22nd last week, well, I guess it was a week ago, when I watched it again there, it was a smaller venue, but it was still, you know, with an audience and a big screen. And just to sit back, it was like I was watching it in third person, that it wasn't even like I was watching myself, that like to really look at it was, you know, you're just like, this is really good. And Alex Hyde White is so good in it. Like to really sit back and watch his acting and how he really carries the story, like with this calm leadership, or like such an inquisitive intelligence. And
it's a great read.
Oh my God. I mean, just watching it, I'm like, I texted Oli, our director, while I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, Alex is so good in this. And to see what Joseph did, you know, this character where it's only a mask and a cape and he could barely move, and and how he really made this Doctor Doom. I mean, in every single article, they're like, that is the best Doctor Doom that has ever
Oh yeah,
been on screen.
I've
And
definitely
you
written
go,
one or two.
oh, what a compliment. You know, when you figure how little he had to work with, you go, that was a talent. You know, that is a character. You know, that is, so there's so much of that in it. And, you know, Johnny, I mean, Jay's Johnny was just so literally explosive. I mean, he was so much fun and so energetic, and he would just pop around, and it's like, whoa, that's what Johnny should be like. And so it was, and, you know, Michael is just this gentle giant. I mean, he's huge, he's gorgeous, but he's so soft spoken and so sweet and so caring. And so, you know, like the heart of the team. And so I just watch this movie and I'm like, God, this is really good. And the stuff that's just corny or cheesy or you have no money, you go, you know what? You just go along with it. Go along with it. You don't have to judge it. You don't have to compare it to anything. It's like, yeah, we had one afternoon to shoot these 19 scenes and, you know, 3 lights and 1 microphone. You know, it's like, what do you people want? And it's even, I mean, I wore all my old clothes in the movie. I mean, the only that weren't mine, you know, the Fantastic Four suit and the wedding dress was, you know, and he got like the wedding dress at like a thrift store for like $20. And you know, he handmade, you know, our costume designer, like he handmade on his sewing machine those suits. Like nobody else had to do that. You really know that, and you watch ours. It's like, I think it's, you know, I think people just need to like relax a little bit and go, you know, this has got it's a nice message.
And it's a feat what was accomplished with so little, like you said. I mean, I have always loved superheroes, but I think I wouldn't be as into them if it wasn't for how much I love film. And so I guess I would say I'm a fan of film first, and I specialize in the world of comic book movies in terms of interest. And I gotta say, like, I have seen and heard so much from comic book, quote unquote, comic book fans that hate on movies because it's not what they want. And with this movie in particular, when you compare it to movies that came out at the time, whether it be like, say, other comic book movies, I mean, like The Crow or even Batman Returns, those movies look of the time, and the budget is definitely like one of the issues that the movie struggled with. And yet with that in mind, the performances that you guys gave, the work that was coming from every facet of the movie makes it stand out to where, like, as someone who's a huge fan of Batman and The Crow, like Fantastic Four truly is a comic book movie. It's true to itself, and it's lovely. Like I adore the cast. I was even telling Joseph that whatever Robert Downey Jr. does, his Doom, in my head, if you can't match Joseph's, then I don't know if I'm there. Like Joseph's Doom is quintessential, and Doom's my favorite villain. So, you know, you guys truly made like a lemonade stand out of 2 lemons, and it's impressive to see every time I watch that movie. And I've seen it a few times already, just for the sheer fun of it. And, you know, even writing the review on it was a blast. Writing about it is always fun. I love hearing other people, like I can say on the online space on Reddit, not one person has really given a bad thing to say about your movie. And I think that's the best compliment in the world, because really when you put aside the standards that some fans have, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the movie. I mean, you know, the budgetary issues are budgetary issues, but story-wise, acting-wise, production-wise, it feels like an episode of the cartoon. Like, and I loved the cartoon growing up. So, but I gotta say, you know, like, it's so cool that this new film has your film in its DNA. Like, I love that, because when I was a kid, I grew up on, and I'm sure everyone who's listened to the other episodes has heard the story ad nauseum, but I tell everyone who's attached to this movie, I grew up on the Hanna-Barbera Fantastic Four cartoon that used to be on like the Boomerang channel when I was a kid. And I remember when they announced this new film, I was like, they need to make the tone like that, the 60s fun vibe, just all of the energy and adventure. And when they did that, I felt so good about it, especially in the second post-credit scene where it homaged that intro. And then to hear that your film was also part of, like, in the blood of this movie, it just feels like I don't know, like it's nice to see how much this new film celebrates the stories that so many fans may not know about, and I think that that is the best compliment that could be given to a movie like The Fantastic Four.
That's so sweet to say. That's I think with ours, because like I said, it resurfaces, every time there's another incarnation. And since ours, style wise, was, we were honoring the comic book, it gives the film a timelessness that you can't, you can only kind of identify it was in the early 90s, just, because of technicalities. Like if you really think of what else was being done, I think people really forget. You go, I don't know, what were you doing in 1992? And most people are like, I wasn't even born. And I'm like, exactly. So, since what we did was, our best to recreate the comic book, it gives it, it's kind of in the time period of the comic book. Like it doesn't look like 1961, but it certainly doesn't look like, hey, the scene is 1992. You kind of can't tell. And so I think there's also a timelessness when you watch our movie, because it's always kind of quote unquote current just because it's a comic book. Like, I think some of the later ones, it was like, whatever, the hairstyles that were trending, or,
True.
Like special effects that were trending, or, just topics that were trendy, that, you go, oh, it kind of, puts a date on it, not dates it like it's old, but you just go, all right, well, that was during whatever. Oh, that was definitely 2005.
Yeah.
Or, ours, I think, since it always looks like the comic book, is kind of timeless, that whenever you watch it, you get kind of sucked in, because you're just kind of in that universe. And I think that's what's neat about this new one, is it's, like sort of 60s, but sort of future, and sort of, like you can't, I love the style of it, but it's also fantastical, that it's not, I just didn't find it like trendy. It was more classic.
It was its own identity, and it held true to that in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. Now, unfortunately with the film, as we all know, it didn't see the light of day. And to this day, it's like you said, it's a blessing in disguise in hindsight, but at the time I couldn't imagine how much that must have sucked. And I mean, like, what was your experience in having to, deal with such a frustrating blow after you guys spent so much, blood, sweat, and tears to make this movie happen?
Well, this business has always been this business. It's never been fair. So, you'll do, as an actor, you'll do a pilot that may never get picked up. You do a TV series that nobody ever ends up seeing. You do a low budget film that, goes straight to video. So the fact, it was low budget. There was no doubt about that. We knew it was low budget. So then when it got canned, myself personally was just kind of like, it wasn't like, what? Like, panic shock, because you go, well, it was a low budget film and now they're not going to release it. Like, it's happened before in the industry. Like, ours is not the first film that never got released, or low budget film that, but ours was different because of the nature of it. But at the time you go, well, it's a low budget film. That's a reality that, you have to somewhat expect. I mean, any project that you do at the time when you're working on it, you never know how good or bad this is going to be, or how big or small it's going to be, or so at first, when they, at first we didn't know the whole story. We didn't know why. And so I think, to me, that's what hurt more, is it was done. And it's like, well, why? And we never got an answer why.
That's a shame.
That was for me the frustrating element. It wasn't such a huge shock because it was low budget, but it's like, why? And
Yeah.
so it took quite a while for the entire story to unravel about what happened. But it was, it was disappointing because, like I said, we wanted to do more. This movie was our ticket to the next one.
Hmm.
And the
Definitely.
thing is, I think it, I think that maybe, Roger Corman and Bert Eichinger and all those guys, that I don't think that they expected it to be as good as it was. I think that they're like, oh, whatever, we'll throw this money at him. We'll give him that set from that last movie and, giving us the bare minimum. I don't think that they were really expecting much.
They were like, oh man, they actually tried with this one.
Yeah,
What's
it's
going
like,
on?
wow, this is actually good. And so I'd like to think that, I don't know, I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but I hope it was harder for them to do than they thought it was going to do, even though they went ahead and did it anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me personally, it was just sad because we weren't going to get to do a next one. We wanted to do more. We wanted to work together again. We wanted to make a better one, and we wanted to keep going. And, even at the time, Alex's little boy was like 2 years old, 2 or 3, and this little blonde hair, blue eyed looked just like him. Like, oh my God, we have Franklin. And,
Wow.
whatever time we do this, if they want Franklin to be 2, we got to get on this, or maybe Franklin will be 5. And, but it was like, we were ready to go.
Hmm.
And, so I think for me, that's what the saddest thing was, that you just go, oh, now we don't get to do another one.
Absolutely. I wish that it would be nice, not only for this film to see the light of day properly, but I just thought how fun would it be to get all of you guys back together for like an animated series or something? That would be.
Oh my God. That was the other thing that I really wanted, because it's like, gosh, if we even get to do, a cartoon version, just the animated versions, and we get to do the voices. I mean, if anybody, I don't know. I want them to do, I would so be on top of doing Sue's voice, because you just go, well, now I'm too old to play Sue, but my voice certainly is not. People still call me sometimes and they're like, hi, is your mommy home? And I'm like, no. So it's like, I do voiceover stuff, and it's like, I play like teenagers or like, adolescent boys. It's like, oh, people are like, oh, you got the greatest voice. I'm like, I could be Sue for the rest of my life. And I would be, that's what I need, is somebody to do the animated version. And I would be in heaven just doing Sue's voice. That would
be great. And I mean, like the Marvel landscape with animation right now, the sky is the limit too. That's the other thing. Like I watch everything Marvel, and I literally have the DVD of the 90s Fantastic Four cartoon like right next to me because I loved that show as a kid. And I would die if we got another Fantastic Four cartoon, and I would double die if you guys were able to bring those voices to life, because I mean, even Alex, hearing him in First Steps, like he not missing a beat, like you guys still got it.
Oh my gosh. When we were taping that day, he was in the studio already doing, some of his newscaster stuff, and I had to go change clothes. And so he was already in the midst of it when I walked in to the sound stage. And I just remember walking in, I couldn't even see him, and I was just walking so slow, listening to him. And I'm like, he's so good. Because the dialogue that they gave us, because they gave Alex and I like newscaster dialogue. I mean, there was like 7 pages of it. Just to kind of, hey, we're going to tape all this stuff and then we'll see what we use. And what he did with it, his take on it, how he, instead of presenting it like a newscaster, I'm telling the news, he turned it into a commentary. He turned it into, this is my TV show. And his physical presence and his delivery. And I mean, I just stood there watching, and when they kind of gave him a little break, I went up, I'm like, this is so good. I said, this is so good. And he looks at me and he's like, of course it is, darling. I mean, it's like so funny. It's so Alex. And so I was not surprised in the least. I'm like, you are going to be the through line. It's like they have to make you like this Walter Cronkite kind of person at the desk. So it's nice that he had both of, because he had kind of two news blurb opportunities in there. And, I even wish it was more because I thought he was so good.
Oh yeah, I would love some deleted scenes of that when the time comes. As someone who loves physical media, I would need that because for me, I saw you guys when the movie started, and I was like, oh, there they are. That's so cool. But when he popped up, it was like a hit over the head. I was like, there he is. Like you couldn't even wonder who that is. It's so obvious.
Yeah.
But that is awesome. Like that you were able to experience that and able to go and work with Marvel and how much they loved your stuff. And I mean, I could only imagine that, that's got to feel just as good as finding out that the movie made its way to the masses in some capacity after you guys had thought it was like gone for good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope it keeps resurfacing. I hope that wasn't the final chapter, because it's like every time, and like I said, every time a new movie comes up, we all get together again. So it's like, well, I hope we get together again, that this wasn't the one that you just go, well, that was the equivalent of your premiere, and, now you're done. So,
I personally don't see that happening, thankfully.
yeah.
But I think that you guys, like, I think this feels like a fresh start because, I think it goes to show that you said with each new movie, they keep coming back to this one. And considering that it has been 20 years since the 2005 Fantastic Four movie, and everyone has skipped over, not to say that like the other ones didn't have their merits, but the fact that people will pass over those and go right to your movie, even now in 2025, and considering this is a fresh start for the Fantastic Four, I would venture a guess that this would make the movie be even more in the zeitgeist than ever, because now the movie's good and people like it, and you're like hard pressed to find people that dislike this movie, and they're going to want to explore more. And I feel like that's going to create buzz in a way that we've only seen with maybe like the Justice League movie or the Coyote versus Acme movie that's finally getting released. Like, I think
Are
that
they finally going to release that?
yeah, Comic-Con, they said it's coming out next. It's either next year or 2027, but they hard confirmed that it's happening.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Yep, that's exactly how I felt. I'm a huge Looney Tunes fan, so I was like, oh, thank God, because that was so not cool what happened. But all that to say, why shouldn't that happen with the Fantastic Four? Like now that the public is back on it, we have a unanimously great movie that's hit theaters following these characters. I can't imagine that there would be less of an interest in this movie. And that's part of the reason why I'm having such a blast talking to you guys, is because I don't want that interest to die. Like, even if I'm a tiny voice in the corner, I want everyone to know this movie exists. And I feel like First Steps really did a lot. The fact that they invited you, the fact that the people making it both love, understand, respect, and acknowledge you guys' movie, I wouldn't give up hope personally. I think that this is, if anything, ironically, kind of the first steps to even better stuff.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, Joseph has a petition that he told you about that, hopefully that gains some momentum, with this now. And
yeah,
I'm looking forward to, they have to give, him a shot in the next one. It was funny because because I was the first one, because I'd actually had a meeting with casting last summer about being in the movie. And so when they called in March and said, Grant Curtis, the producer, is going to call you, and they wanted, the phone numbers for the other three guys. And I said, I have Joseph's as well. I said, he's a brilliant actor, and he's definitely part of our team. And casting said, well, this time it's only the four. And also, if they do ever, release ours, that I hope that there's some budget allocated to fix some of the things. And primarily,
yes,
his voice, he has always just begged to, re-record it so that you can get, he's got one of the most magnificent voices ever. And for as incredible as Doom's voice is, it's, through the mask and not even mic'd. And you go, if you can imagine his voice at full capacity,
oh man,
scenes are gonna fly off the screen. So I do hope what they do re-release, that they'll just, Dr. a few things that still just need a little attention, and that being the main one.
Doctor the Doctor.
I mean, he deserves that,
I agree. He is my favorite in terms of Dooms out there. And even if he were to appear as playing Victor Von Doom's father, I don't care. I think that, yeah, he is the last piece of the puzzle.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh yeah, the fact when I was talking to him and the fact that he like was getting into lore about Doom's past and how his mother was like into magic, and I'm just like, this guy gets it. He needs to like be there somehow. It made my nerd heart happy. But also just the hard work you all put into it is just great. So I can only get more excited for what's to come in the future.
I'm going to share a little secret with you that you're going to be the first person to have this breaking news.
Okay.
Breaking news. I haven't even posted about it yet, but I kid you not. It's going to segue into, and then we can come back to this. But you talked about how we do dog rescue, so a little backup. So just last month, it was just at the end of June. My husband and I, we had to go to a screening that we were down in South Central, which is a pretty sketchy part of town, and we were just driving across the street, and this little tiny dog just goes flying across the intersection right in front of our car.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, we got to go get that dog. So we spend, 25 or 30 minutes trying to catch this little tiny dog. I mean, it's like 6 or 7 pounds.
Oh.
Just running like a bat out of hell and just crossing all these busy intersections. And we're just in the car, like cringing every time she would run across the street. And we would get close and get out and crouch down and try to get her, but she would turn around, double back, run the other direction. We're like, So to make a hugely long story short, we finally got her and brought her home and cleaned her up and named her Vivi. And so little Vivi's, 7 pounds, like a little beanbag, just the cutest little dog. But she was very kind of under animated, if you will. Like you're just kind of go, well, I guess she's just decompressing, getting used to the environment. Monday night, after the big premiere, we come home. It's like midnight, 12:30. I come up the stairs. I've got on, my blue gown. My husband's still in his blue plaid suit. Come up the stairs, and our friend who was staying with the dogs is laying on the floor, and she has her carpet like covered in towels and is laying on the floor with Vivi like in the middle. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? What happened? She's in labor.
Oh my goodness.
So after the premiere, it's like midnight, now 1:00 in the morning. And I can't believe nobody got a picture. Like I'm laying on the bedroom floor on these towels in my blue gown, that we've just seen 100 pictures of, with this little tiny dog who's just kind of pacing and having contractions and everything. So about 2:00 in the morning, 2:30, she has a little baby. So she has this little puppy, and miraculously only one, but I think because she's so tiny, and it's a little boy. So I look at Will, my husband, I'm like, well, you know what? We have to name him. And he's like, what? And I'm like, oh my God, were you at the movie tonight? And he's like, what? I'm like, we have to name him Franklin. I'm like, we just watched, like the Fantastic Four baby being born on screen tonight, like at the world premiere. And we just came home and we have a little baby boy. Like we have to name him Franklin. But to tell you the truth, we have our little neighbor boy across the street who's at our house a lot. 2 Frankies running around here. So we went round and round and round with names. But I've got to send you, because I haven't posted any picture. His face, this little dog, has the most distinct superhero mask on his face that you've ever seen. I mean, it's like everybody's like, it is this perfectly symmetrical, these markings. I'm like, this dog has got a mask on. Like, he's got to have a superhero name. So we went through like every superhero, and then like all the superheroes' real names, which are all, I have to say, very boring, that we could not come up with a name. so I was talking to my mom on the phone and kind of telling her this whole story that I just told you. And I went, oh, I just thought of it. I just figured out his name because he's like this little superhero dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
We named him Marvel.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's so good.
And when you see him, I mean, we don't know what he's going to look like as a dog yet because he's literally 7 days old.
Yeah.
He just still kind of looks like a little potato. But markings on his face, I just thought, I'm like, that is the coolest name in the universe. So I haven't told anybody. So here, this is the world premiere of Little Marvel's debut is on your podcast.
I love this.
I'll send you some pictures, but I was going to post about it tomorrow because I still had to kind of keep posting about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to be the big news, and I'm gonna send this picture to Grant, Curtis, the producer that brought us in, and just go, look at, because of your movie and your involvement with us, this is the first little Marvel dog.
Oh.
That he was born the night of the premiere, that he premiered just right after, and he waited until after the premiere, thank God, that he wasn't born right before we were leaving. I'm glad he waited until we got home. But isn't that, it's so cool.
I think that is just like, if there's a cosmic reason for things, I think that's a prime example of that. Because realistically, yeah, what are the odds? Like, come on now. That's too trippy.
I know that we just came home from the premiere, and that when I send you a picture of this dog's face, you will go, I can't believe this. It is a perfect mask.
I am so excited. I love when dogs have that. My parents have a dog, and he's a little guy. He's got a little underbite, and he's white, and he's got like a little black spot. And I named him Rocket, like Rocket Raccoon. So I'm all for just any dogs that just look unique and fun. And I think a mask is the peak. You can't beat it.
I'm texting them to you right now.
Oh. I can't wait.
See them in real time and go, that is a very unique little head on that dog. He's pretty cute.
Here it is. Oh my goodness.
Isn't that amazing?
That's lovely.
The markings on his face.
That's the cutest.
Isn't that like the perfect little symmetrical mask around his eyes?
Mm-hmm. I
kind of, I don't know, like what you would call it, like that little, that white center between the two. It's so cool. I hope as he gets bigger, it stays that distinct.
Yeah.
Because they're not like spots. I mean, the fact that they are those exact straight lines, and then it has that one little kind of V, like up on the crown of his head.
Yeah. That's so cool. Like, that is so trippy. I love that. Wow. Thank you for sharing those. That's so cute. Man, it must be cool though, with dog rescue and doing all of that. I always live in a park. What was that? I'm sorry.
I said I'll share with you his little growing up story. Now that'd be funny that if in the sequel, maybe little Franklin can have a little dog, and I can have those guys cast Marvel as Franklin's little puppy dog.
That I would be there for that. I need that. More lovable animals in Marvel, please. Marvel and Herbie hanging out. That would be the best.
Oh yeah. That was really sweet too. That little Herbie was really cute. That it was funny that he wasn't in the movie more, which part of me was happy about. That that didn't get overly used.
Yeah.
But I thought it was just enough that it makes you want more, rather than going, okay, enough of the robot already. He was just there enough that you loved him, but it's like, oh, I want to see more of him. I thought that it was just the perfect balance.
Absolutely, I agree. Did you ever know like why Herbie exists? Like why he was created?
I do not. Do you?
Yeah, so there was a TV show that came out, I can't remember if it was the 70s or the 80s, called The New Fantastic Four. And because the people in charge were afraid that kids were going to try to light themselves on fire because of the Human Torch, they replaced him with Herbie.
Really?
Yeah, and that was kind of like why Herbie the robot kind of came into existence. And he managed to still stick around, even when Johnny, like in the comics, like even when Johnny was there. But yeah, it was kind of because they didn't want kids doing anything crazy, trying to be the Human Torch.
It doesn't matter what decade it is, kids just do crazy stuff.
Amen to that. Amen to that. My self-preservation was too high when I was a kid. The craziest thing I did was eat too much candy.
Yeah. I don't think I was a pretty good kid. I don't think I ever did anything. I was such a good little girl, I have to say.
Oh yeah, I was a great kid. My parents used to come into my room to make sure I was still alive because I was so quiet playing with my toys.
Did you? Oh, that's so funny. Do you have siblings or?
I did, but when I was 10, so my brother and I are 10 years apart. It's actually his birthday tomorrow, which reminds me, happy belated birthday, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much.
But yeah, no, my brother is 10 years younger than me, so I kind of was taking care of him and also being his brother, so it was a little different. But we're closer now that he's older, and it's like a completely different dynamic now, which is so weird. But on my own, like 10 years only child, I was entertaining myself.
You know, it's funny. My brother's 10 years younger than me too.
That's trippy.
But
That
yeah,
is
I have
so trippy.
so my sister's like a year and a half. So though I wasn't an only child, it was just us two girls.
Mm-hmm.
I was the youngest, and then my brother's 10 years younger. But to me, like he was just a baby that my mom had for me. It's like, wow, Mom, thanks for the baby. Like, you know, I had my own little human doll. And it was funny when my brother got married, when we were all there before his wedding, and we were kind of putting together collages, like a collage of, you know, his wife when she was little growing up, and then my brother Tom when he was little growing up. And the funny thing was, we had a hard time finding pictures of Tom just by himself because I was constantly holding him.
Oh,
Every picture, like up until he's like 4, you know, it was just like, my mom's like, you never, like, I just carried that kid around like he was my little baby.
that's so cute. Now you're helping him with job interviews.
Yeah. Always the little brother.
I feel that. My brother is turning 20 tomorrow, and I am so confused. I'm like, what does that mean? He's turning 20. I don't understand.
Oh boy.
Like, he's not supposed to be doing that. I don't get it.
I know. It's like, yeah, it sounds like, yeah, when my nephews all of a sudden, you know, got tall and their voices changed, and I'm like, wait, you know, yeah, I wanted everybody to stay 4 and 5 years old. I'm like, don't
Oh
go.
yeah. It's like, who gives them the right to be an adult and grow up and have experiences? We're having too much fun.
Yeah, I know. I just always say to my nephews, I'm like, what did you do? Where's Joe? Where's Luke? What did you do with him? You know, he's in there somewhere. Let him go. Give him back to me. You know, because I'm like, you're not even the same person anymore.
That's funny, you know, but it's funny too, taking this sidebar with family when the whole concept of what we're talking about stems from family. But it's true, like, you know, these things happen and they're lovely, but also, what the heck? No one told me. But you know, I know we kind of went over the hour, and I really don't want to take up too much of your time, even though I have had such a blast talking, and I really don't want to stop. But I'd hate to take
You're
up too much.
knowledgeable. It's really nice because it's like you know the subject matter so well. You know the history of the comic and our version and all of the other versions, and it's just nice to speak to someone that it's like, how do you know all this? It's really nice.
Well, for starters, I appreciate that. Thank you. I really just like, I love this stuff, and I love the medium of film. It's always been a dream of mine to work at Marvel, and the closest thing I've gotten to thus far is writing for, you know, pop culture outlets like the one I work for. Now, granted, this show is my own thing, but yeah, I mean, I just have like a steel trap for information that most, like, I should probably remember taxes more, but I instead chose to remember, you know, things like this. And I get like an obsessive need to want to learn things like this, and just, you know, being a fan of, because I'm a huge Marvel fan in general. Like, I love Spider-Man, I love Ghost Rider, I love all of that stuff, and I don't get to talk about Fantastic Four too much. So, you know, in talking to you guys, it has been a genuine treat. And I hope I can still talk to the rest of the four, the other three, because they're the only ones I haven't spoken to yet. And it's just, it's been so cool. I've kind of like made this particular film and you guys' story like my, I can't, like, I don't know if it's like a passion project or just like a personal thing where I didn't think I'd get this opportunity. And now I want to cover every facet and make sure everyone knows. And it's just become such a special like part of my life. Cause I don't know, like I turned 30 last year and it's been a journey of growth. And this has definitely been like a defining point in talking to you guys and letting my knowledge actually like be useful in some capacity. And I appreciate very much that you appreciate that I'm actually like not just trying to like talk to you for the sake of a scoop or talk to you like as just a normal news person, but just like, creative person to creative person, just, chatting.
Yeah, well, it would be so cool if you would get an opportunity like that. It's great that, the whole Marvel and DC, even for that matter, that there's such conglomerates now that, it's probably more likely than ever before in the past
Oh
that
yeah.
you could manufacture a career out of your passion. And so it's, I mean, the climate is right, for that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And my problem is that I never know how one does it. That's like one part. And then the other part is there are so many people that are like, being someone who's like, oh, I know a lot about this stuff. I'd love to like, cause I love to write. My thing is writing and creating stories and just kind of like, especially with the Marvel world. I remember a Ghost Rider movie came out a while back that I was not the biggest fan of. And it actually kind of kickstarted my interest. I told Oli this story as well. It kickstarted my interest in writing. And I ended up writing like a very rudimentary drafts of like a Ghost Rider trilogy. And then that spawned into me writing my own Fantastic Four movies set in the Marvel universe that had existed at the time because I wanted to desperately to get them into the universe. And so, I do those things for myself and, they're a labor of love. And I know what I'm talking about. And I know that I have like that passion and interest, but I never know like how one goes about it because there are a million other people like me that could maybe talk a bigger game and know less or know a lot more, but not have what's needed. And it's like for me, my little validations come say with this film when they do the little homage to the 60s cartoon. And I'm like, that's what I've been saying for years. And it lets me know like I can do this, but it's just, it's so hard. Like I have no idea how to navigate those waters. And I'm so blessed that I've even been able to do what I'm doing now with, chatting with you with this podcast, with my job. And it's been lovely. But that part of my career path, I have not quite figured out how to mine yet. And it is, I like to think every step I take is a step towards those goals. But, it's honestly even nice to just talk to someone about it that understands how it works.
Well, you just got to keep plugging away at it because, I mean, you're obviously passionate and obviously skilled. And, it's going to be somebody, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, that doesn't mean it's somebody else. It means that somebody can be you. And it's okay to say, I'm good at this. It's okay to say, I'm the best at this. It's funny. I was just at my old agent, who actually was my agent that was, when I booked the Fantastic Four, and she's now a really big producer. And I was with her yesterday and she was the speaker at this creative writing group. And it was so, it was no mistake that she just happened to invite me to come along because we were just meeting beforehand. And I'm like, well, I'm here. I'd love to just sit in and listen. And you just go, the timing was so great of so many of the things that she was talking about herself, about her career, about her success, about her victories and her mistakes and how she learned and what she would do now and what she recommends for people. Because you go, that information is always good and it's always useful. And I got so invigorated again and was passionate and just realized there's so much worth in having your own self-worth. You
Yeah.
know, like, hey, look, I grew up in the Midwest and, very humble and modest and, I'm not going to brag and blah, blah, blah. But, there's an element, there's a time of going, I know what I'm doing. I'm good at this. I might be the best at this, like, particular thing or this particular day or this. And so, I mean, that's really what I want you to take away from this, or anybody who's really listening, that it's okay to go, I'm really good at this. And if there's anything that you have to do to, get better, or how you were talking about how Joseph did all this back research into doom and that his mother was in magic, you go, God, you put in the homework and you go, you deserve the rewards. If you're going to keep growing, it's okay to say, I'm good at this. I love this. I'm passionate about it. I'm going to do what it takes to get what I want, because somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to get the job. Somebody's going to make that phone call or write that script or contact that executive. Why not you? Like, why sit back and let somebody else be the guy who reached out and got the job? It's like, reach out, get the job, create a job, for yourself these days.
Mhm.
What can I do that is so valuable that will help someone else? How do I make myself valuable to them? What can I bring to their table that they don't have already? And, a lot of times it's hard when you have, a full-time job and, a life in between to go,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna, feed this passion of mine, as richly as I can. But, I think even when people are young and are experienced, like if I look back at like a young actress, me, if I would go back and talk to myself 20 years ago or 30 years ago, I would have told myself, you're already valuable, because again, being raised in the Midwest, it's a real work ethic. I'll just keep working. I'll work harder. I'll earn it. This person will respect me after I've done blah, 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 and it's kind of in my head made it a bigger uphill climb than it really needed to be. And it's like, you're talented now. You're beautiful now. You're exciting now. You're hungry now. You're, a blank canvas now. Like, that's really valuable.
Mhm.
And so I think when people are, either early in any kind of a career or in their age, yes, they should be, humble and, have mentors that can help them transition to next steps. But just realize wherever you are in your journey, you're very valuable at that stage, at that point, because sometimes you're hungrier, sometimes being more vulnerable makes you more absorbent, and so it's, since you do have such like a actual working ability in this genre, that I think you have exceptional potential. And, you go, oh, I just turned 30. Oh my God, that's so young. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, do it. It's, so I just think it's exciting that you have something so specific that you love. I think people that know early on what it is they want to do. Oh, I want to be a pilot, or, I want to be, people that early on very specifically know what they love. I was like, gosh, you're so lucky, because you can put all your time and energy and focus on accomplishing that one thing and expect that one thing. So, the industry is so ripe for what you know and what you love. It's like, jump in the pool and swim as hard as you can. And, you're going to make it to the finish line. As long as you just keep swimming, that's all you got to do. And if you're swimming in a pool of stuff that you love, well, of course, then you're going to keep swimming. I mean, it's a given that you'll succeed at this. So, I would, set some goals or write some letters or make some calls, or, it's like, do what you have to do. Or like you said, if you're writing these scripts, and again, this is like for anybody out there and whatever their, chosen field is, your passion is invaluable. And so if you can translate and communicate that to a useful kind of an arrow towards the person who can, make your dreams come true. People love helping other people. People really do. You go, yeah, it's a dog eat dog world and people are competitive, but deep down, everybody would love to do something wonderful for somebody else. They'd love to do something for somebody starting in the business or somebody young. And so, a lot of times even, I'll be hesitant to go, I'm not going to reach out to that person. Oh, they're busy, or they won't even read my email. You go, if you do it, put it out there. If you build it, it will come, So, yeah, I think you're lucky that you know what you love and what you want to do. And, you just keep working at it.
Well, I think that was the sweetest and quite frankly the most inspirational thing I've heard all day. And you're right. You gotta search for the things, you gotta fight for the things you want. And I have no idea who I could talk to, but you can bet I'll try and figure it out. But no, thank you. That is genuinely like such great advice to give. And I am so happy that, like, ironically, through my own ability of reaching out to Joseph and him being so kind as to come back to me and then opening all of these doors so that I could even talk to you, I think is a testament to everything you just said on its own. And even your kindness and reaching out and saying, yeah, I'll go for it. I'll do it. I couldn't thank you guys enough. I feel like I'm like a part of this little family too. And it's so great because I never, ever would have expected it at all.
Well, I'm excited for you to talk to the other guys too, because we all have unique things to offer. These interviews are going to really have some depth and range because, I just find, like all the rest of the guys, as you continue to interview them, you'll just have so much material. And so I'm excited for you to talk to the rest of them because I think, it'll just get more and more fun for you. And, you'll go off on side topics and it's just, all the other guys, I mean, all of us, everybody just has so much to, offer from either their, their own stories or, so I think you'll have fun doing it. And I look forward to, you talking to the other guys because I think,
Yeah.
Make it fun for you.
Yeah, and I'm definitely still chipping away at it. I probably will have to reach out to you after the podcast and just kind of ask a couple questions because I know Michael reached out on Instagram, but I think he got busy and it's definitely a little harder, but I'm never like worried about it or anything. I just, I'm a very transparent person.
And Jay is just a doll. I mean, he's just, and Michael's just, like the biggest heart in the world. And I think, it'll be interesting to kind of see how all of our interviews are similar and how they're all different.
Absolutely. That's been my favorite thing of doing these is finding those moments.
Yeah. So let me know because I want to listen to everybody else's too.
Oh, absolutely.
Any help, just, having, just getting a hold of those guys, I can reach out, for you as well.
For sure. And I greatly appreciate it. Now I don't want to keep you too long anymore. It's already been an extra half hour, but, I did want to, touch on if like for your dog rescuing that you do, before we close out, are there any like sites or numbers or anything that you might want to tell people in regards to that to see like if they can help and do their part that, would be helpful for them?
Well, we don't have like a formal rescue. It's just what we do.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I can say for most people, there's dogs in needs in any community. And, people are like, oh gosh, you guys are so wonderful. I could never do what you do. And I'm like, okay, back up. No, we're all human and we're all the same. And you can. It's not like we're doing anything special. Everybody can do something. And that's always my mantra. And different people have, either different things available to them that can help. So, you can always volunteer at, a local shelter or with the rescue. You can always donate just money like, well, I don't really have time or there isn't anybody near. you can find one near you that you can donate to. Something that most rescues really need are people to transport. I mean, there's like a lot of dog rescues that even some of them that I'm involved with, I just got involved with through Facebook. And sometimes you can make a bigger impact where you are located geographically. And that's what they need a lot, is just somebody to transport dogs. And so, we live in LA, but I work in Vancouver a lot, and LA has a proliferation of pit bulls and chihuahuas. And up north in the Pacific Northwest, whether it's Oregon, Washington, and in British Columbia, it's mostly big dogs. Their shelters don't have a lot of little dogs. So frequently, if I know I'm going to be flying up there, I'm in touch with a dog rescue in Vancouver that I go, hey, I'm going to be coming up on such and such a date. And then we coordinate with one of the, or I can, coordinate with the shelter here or a rescue group here. And if I fly up, she covers it. She pays for it. And I just fly one of the dogs. Or one time we drove, there was this big dog. He was kind of a boxer pit bull, but, they just said we can't, he won't go in a crate. Like for somebody to try, they just said, we need somebody. Do you know anybody who's just going to be coming up like to Washington for vacation this summer and would want to drive this dog? And I was in Vancouver at the time and my husband was down here, and I'm like, and he loves road trips. And I'm like, no, you were going to fly up here. I'm like, but do you feel like driving and taking this dog? And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to fly home and, whatever, spend some time at home. And then we're going to make a road trip and take this dog and drive him up to Washington, on our way back to Vancouver. And it just turned out to be one of the greatest trips because we fell so in love with this dog. He was just the greatest. And so there's, that's kind of an extreme case, but a lot of times they just need, oh, hey, this dog's in Atlanta and needs to go to, whatever, North Carolina or whatever. So, you can volunteer, you can donate, you can transport. Fostering is huge. Like sometimes rescues can pull a dog from a shelter, but they need somewhere for the dog to go into like a safe and quiet and secure environment. Fostering is one of the biggest things because people are like, oh, I can't have a dog full time. Well, you can foster. Everybody can foster. And they go, oh, but then it would be so hard to give the dog up. Well, that's very true. And that's why a lot of people call their dogs a foster failure, which means they fostered the dog and then just kept it. So that happens a lot, but it's okay. But a lot of times too, we've fostered dogs that then we found a home for. And yes, you cry when they go to their new home, but you go, we have found a home for the dog that's better suited for the dog, for us. And that's better for the dog. And since that dog moved on to its forever home, that opens up our house for another foster. So there's another dog that we can rescue, because if we kept every dog, we wouldn't be able to foster anymore. But you can just foster until they move on. And so it's just thinking of, well, what is best for the dog? And then the final thing you can do is just adopt, whether it's from a rescue or a shelter, as opposed to going to a breeder, that there's so many dogs that just need a good home. So there's something for everyone. And also, if you're out, whether you're in the country or in the city, people are constantly, oh, we saw this dog tied up. I hope somebody helps it. Like, well, why don't you help it?
True.
And shouldn't that somebody be you? Or they're like, oh, there was this dog in the park and, somebody needs to go get it. And it's like, well, just be that somebody. Just be that somebody. You can get the dog, just, give him some food, give him some water, get him somewhere safe at least, so that they're not out where they're going to be hit by a car or eaten by a coyote or, picked up by someone who's going to abuse it. It's like, get the animal into a safe space. Like, just be that person. You don't have to constantly wait for somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
So there's levels of what you can do based on your time or your resources or, your living conditions. So you can adopt, you can foster, you can transport, you can volunteer, you can donate, and sometimes it's even just sharing, that if you're on Facebook or Instagram and, there's dogs that need to be networked, you can be the person that shares it on your page or with your friends, because 9 times out of 10, maybe you can't, adopt or donate to this dog, but somebody that can or will, or maybe they'll share it and they'll share it. And it's the exponential sharing that either, helps these rescues raise enough money. Like if the dog needs a operation or, something like that, that with the internet, there's really no excuse to, not have information. So there's a lot that people can do, and even just a lot of rescue groups. They just even have like an Amazon wish list, and you can find out and go, oh, I'll order that bag of food that they need, or that
I didn't know that.
ads that they need, that there's ways that you can go, oh, I'll physically help. And different communities, because there's things that I could say that are all in the LA area that I know of, but that would be limiting for people not in the LA area. So, for all the time that we all spend on social media, nobody has an excuse saying, oh, I didn't know. It's like, no, it's pretty easy to know these days. If you're on your telephone, as much as most people are on their telephone, it's pretty easy to find, a dog or a cat or a rabbit, that need help. And it's not just dogs. I mean, we, at this point now, because of the baby, we've got 6 dogs. I mean, they're tiny.
Mm-hmm.
All of our dogs are pretty small, but we also, what people don't know, we have 5 cats.
Oh, wow.
So that, just kind of multiplied as well. And, you just have to have the resources to feed them all and, make sure that everybody, is taken care of, with their health. Mm-hmm. But, it doesn't have to be just dogs, it's dogs, cats. There's a lot of animals that, need help. There's, so everybody locally, everybody can do something. That's an easiest way to say everybody can do something.
Definitely. It's the easiest way to be a hero at home, I suppose.
It's so beautiful. You're absolutely right. Everybody can be a hero.
And those fur babies are the best. So why the heck not, I say. But, Rebecca, thank you so much for saying that. I'm sure that there's going to be some people out there that probably are going to be very thankful to know that they can do something if they've wanted to do something. Rebecca, thank you so much for your time. This has been one of my favorite chats. It's been so cool to talk to you. And yeah, I couldn't thank you enough.
Well, it is my pleasure. And you can follow up anytime you want. I've enjoyed it tremendously myself.
Awesome. I love to hear it. That is great. Well, everyone, I hope you guys had a great time listening as much as I did chatting. So, you all have a great rest of your day. And Rebecca, you too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.